Okay. Heyo Friendos, and welcome back to another episode of Worms slash Parahumans talking about it and stuff. I don't know what I named this podcast. I'm just the host. With your host, Barry Goldheart. Oh, whoa! And my good friendo, FallenFromGlory. Oh, man. Yay!
Yup.
Yeehaw. So, I'll begin this one a little differently. Because I had a day or two between stuff, so I'm thinking that Fallen can get us started, and then the ramble spree can start happening from there. Oh, whoa. So this was, number 2, Arc 2. Oh, whoa.
You want me to get it started, huh?
Get us started in here. Get us started in here. Yeah.
Okay. What'd you have in mind?
Well, I really just want to talk about the interlude stuff, but we gotta get there. So, do something to start us off, or else I just gotta get to the end and wait back to.
Okay, so Arc 2, right? We're expanding quite a lot more on the world and how it works, and we're getting to know some of the characters we were introduced to last time much better. So the arc starts with Taylor in school again, but she doesn't stay there for very long. So, what do you think? Was there anything about that particular part of the scene that stood out to you?
Let's see here. So talking to Dad was blah. Then we got over to school. Fulfilling. So the school parts, I guess we want to start there. Okay, and then we can talk about how her day began. Blah blah blah. So squish. Okay, so let's see here. We have a different teacher, actually, in this one, which is kind of interesting, like Miss Knott. And, like, the main thing is that, at least it's computer work. It's in Miss Knott's class. It's a computer class, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So we get computers on there. Yes. Yeah, computer science class. That's great. And so she spends her time doing a bit of research, trying to figure out information on these guys who she hung out with last time. Which I'll admit, that's probably the smartest thing she's done since the battle with Volge. And she finds out there that someone is, Tattletale specifically. It's gotta be Tattletale. There ain't no one else who could be. They're sending out a message to get in contact with, Bug. So, and that's, her. So she sends a little message thingy in there, and they manage to figure out, she's in the library and everything, like to come meet them at a place, the building top and stuff. So that's pretty cool. That's a nice little scene. Squish, 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 squish. The build-up of the school area, though, it's almost like the computer room is this sort of mini solitude place for her. Like, it's almost a fortress. Like, if it weren't for some of the prudy girls who were there, but they don't have the motivation to really be a jerk, and they're too stupid and focus on their own stupid work to really be a bother for her, whereas she's excelling here. So she's doing some real work, but it's still behind what she's capable of by a long shot. So she breezes through that and then does her studying of things she finds important. Which, heck yeah, it reminds me a lot of my science classes where they'd be like, ooh, this is a niche. And I'm like, I've heard of niches before. I am now reading about how spider anatomy works. Screw y'all.
Yeah, it sounds about right. So, yeah,
Yeah.
her brief
My
time
fiance is over
in.
there. She just pointed out, like, oh, yeah, never mind.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so the thing was, she pointed out how when I did that, there's a point where my fiance asked me about, what the spiders do with their, like, shells and whatnot. And we had a crazy long discussion about it because I knew a lot of different things that they did. And, like, different kinds of spiders doing different kinds of things with it, and that was great. So doing that sort of research while you're ahead on certain classes and stuff, wonderful. You get a lot done. Yay. Wow, wow. And honestly, Taylor probably should be doing that too. Like specific biology if there are bugs she finds. But I don't think she's aware she should be yet. Yeah. Continue.
Not
Next
yeah, not
question. Squish or thingy.
so yeah. So we kind of start off with the more daily life stuff that doesn't really have too big of an impact. Um, but we do get introduced to Mrs. Knott and then the computer class, and then yeah, she kind of is like um, after after an encounter, she decides to fuck off from school. So, is there anything that you wanted to talk about with that encounter? Um, Anything to note specifically of the thing that finally drives her to just say "fuck it, I'm leaving school"?
No, like the woof. Okay, so the girls doing their little girl bullshit. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Emma was the one in charge of that, right? Like she was there. Sorry, it's been over a day now since I've read it, so some things are like in here ingrained, and others are like drifting off to nowhere as well. Boo. So
Yes. So yeah, that was
yeah, the daily
pretty much
stuff we had
entirely
something
Emma.
like Mr. Gladly class of him lives up to this. Yeah. So this was like so blah blah. So there's sort of like two parts to it. In the classroom, there's where I think she gets scooped up with Madison with some randos who I don't know if they'll be that important yet, if they'll come up again. But two random boys, and one who wants to meet a band, and the other one who's like some sort of nerd, but has no confidence in his nerdy stuff, so it's always like meh, 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 meh. And
Yes.
then I
One
think
of them
Madison's the
is
one who winds
their
up with
names.
them. But it turns into basic. Yeah.
Sorry, their names are Greg and Sparky.
Greg and Sparky. Okay. Yeah. So those two are the ones who are there with her, and in a group assignment thing in Mr. Gladly's class. So that's kind of important because that's where, Emma and Madison are and all that, where you got a trio of douche girls. So Emma's group and whatnot sits next to them and, convinces one of the idiot boys to give them, the works that Taylor put in. Oh my gosh, my brain. That's Taylor put in. And that work is then, basically kept by them, and then they sort of like bastardize it to their own thing with what they're doing. Yeah, I think it's a pretty decent grade. Not the best, but decent one. So, yeah. That's annoying. And then afterwards, after all this BS, because it's like a whole round of class BS, then when Taylor tries to leave the classroom and stuff, all of those girls have it basically surrounded with Emma being in the queen bitch position. There's no other real word for it. And they're all talking crap about Taylor while doing it in like the third person sort of like she's not there type of thing. I'm not sure what the correct perspective is on that right now. But they're doing that. And been there, dealt with that. That's some bullshit. But yeah, Taylor has a reasonable crash out and leaves before that gets, too ugly. And it could have easily gotten too ugly. Yeah, I think they they started something a little more than just the talking and stuff. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, see, oh, we get the thing with Mr. Gladly before that, actually, where he's like, if people are being mean to you and stuff, you can go to the principal with you. Hello. And it's like, sure, that ain't gonna do jack diddly squat, my good guy. Taylor knows that, and she gets the extra information that it won't do jack diddly squat. Before moving on, like, yeah, fuck yo. Yeah, exactly. And then during the little jerktacular moment, something I noticed about the jerktacular moment was the girls weren't really giving a shit. Like, none of them are really thinking through what they'd said, except maybe Madison and Sophia. Yeah. So there would be things like, oh, she's a whore, is always getting fucked by all the guys. And then there would be like, she probably even know what the dick's like. It's all this contradictory stuff. Anything that just makes her sound lesser than human. And that's really all they were doing with that to get brownie points. As opposed to like, tearing her down mechanically and methodically. So that's a good thing to note. Yeah, and then the bitch McGee, Emma, right? She brings up Taylor crying for a week. Like, what are you gonna do? Cry for a week? Oh, whoa. That's the thing that sends it overboard, because we have some information about that. Taylor went with Emma after her mom died. She like hung out with Emma for basically a good while. I don't even remember if it was like a week or longer, but she was crying a lot during that. So what Emma did was break it from an impersonal degradation to a personal assault on Taylor's character and her family. Like disregarding the value of their lives and of human life in general, but especially that of those related to her, which is always dangerous territory to do. Because anyone who does that does not mind or care if you or your loved ones die or anything like that. So they're always just worth killing if you see them on the streets. That's just the fact of that. Just so you're aware. Yeah, so basically in my eyes, that put Emma in the okay to kill territory. Like, I really wouldn't think twice about it. Just, opportunities there. Boom, done. Whoosh. Dock workers, I'm surprised he doesn't know where the local chop shops for people are. Like, I'd be willing to get that done at that point, There's a difference between mocking me and then being okay with killing my family. And Emma, whether she knows it or not, she crossed that line.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. That is supposed to kind of be like a flag, right? A sort of signal where, Taylor's been dealing with this shit for so long, right? And she's just kind of like been dealing with it, been dealing with it, been dealing with it. And then Emma breaks the shit out and she goes, you know what? That's enough. I've had enough. This is the part where I walk away and then like she doesn't really make the conscious decision like I'm not coming back to school. But once you've kind of like made this decision where you're like, I'm going to deal with this situation by leaving, right? It becomes very hard to justify going back. And that's always been her reason for never leaving, right? That's always been the reason why she keeps going back to school, because she's always known that as soon as she leaves, she's not going to go back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, she done with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like is there kind of like reading this situation, right? Do you think there's any world where Taylor goes back to school willingly? At least this school.
Actually, yeah, I've known a lot of people who are in those sorts of situations, or have been. Uh, yeah. Sometimes it's just inability to get out or whatever, or usually they wind up building a different connection and whatnot. Like, Santa doesn't seem to be keenly aware of like the local drug dealers and stuff who are around the school or anything like that, but usually a comeback there leads to interaction with people like that, to where you have some sort of buffer that, actually means something like, if Emma decides to fuck with you, if you're with those people, well, then you're not going to get any weed or cocaine or, alcohol or whatever at your party and stuff. And in fact, when you plan to host a party, they'll host a better one. Shit like that. So usually it's something like that where someone comes back. They find a sort of connection, or they do the take it to the yard. And Taylor doesn't trust in her own abilities to get away with something to take it to the yard. So also, her and Emma, none of them are really into like gang or crews yet. So she doesn't understand how any of that stuff works, and neither does Emma, so they can't have a resolution from taking it to the yard. Like, yeah, but it's just not going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, like although there's supposed to be
we get
a lot of like although there's supposed to be a lot of gang activity at the school.
Go ahead.
It doesn't seem like any of the main characters so far have anything to do with them at all, right?
Yeah, that they're not even like aware of them or who is present, which is really weird, because like even at my nicest, fanciest high school I was in, it was, you knew who was what. It took work not to know. But again, I don't think Taylor takes her survival effort stuff outside of her classroom and school surroundings and like personal situation any further the way she should. If she did, she'd be keenly aware of all that.
Yeah, because like it's worth noting. So I guess this is a good time to mention this. So one of the key elements of the setting is that there are several very prolific, very widespread gangs that have been doing lots and lots of damage to the city over the course of a long period of time. And she kind of like half notes that there are gang tags and graffiti around, right? That she sees people wearing the colors, right? But she doesn't really understand or really care all that much, other than the fact that it turns her school into like this shit, right?
Yeah. And what she also doesn't understand is ethnic groupings and how to take advantage of those. So she's in a dock city. So there's definitely different kinds of people around. She hasn't really said like, hey, this person's, Japanese, or this person's, Korean or Filipino or anything like that. We've never heard her use any terms of that nature. So she's not even looking to that side of things. But if she were, another great way to be done with the Emma BS would be if she found Samoans and just made friends with the Samoans. Because there's two kinds of Samoans. I'll just say it this way. Like, there's a lot of Samoans people, but there's two general kinds. One, they're mean as hell. Or two, they take no shit. And if they're like with the church and whatnot, like the whatever local churches, then they're the take no shit kind. And they're everybody's friend. But at the same time, they could take out anybody. So making friends with them gets that sort of shit to stop in public. Woof. Yeah. Squish, squish, squish.
Yeah, so,
squish, 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 squish. But yeah, she doesn't notice those sorts of things. And I think that's the issue. Well, continue.
Yeah, did you want to briefly I kind of want to get your pulse on what do you think of the gangs so far, right? Like they've all been mentioned at least once, right?
Wow.
Kind of give a very brief description of what they are.
Okay.
I don't really
Yeah.
remember.
By the end of this chapter, we've got over most of them, if not all of them. But that includes stuff in the interlude. So there's one who is a racist gang, which is different than a gang made up of a certain ethnic group or collection of groups. So one that's racist specifically targets their grievances and annoyances towards a different racial group. Different ethnic minority or majority, doesn't really matter. And those ones you can't reason with. And if you want to have a rat among them, you've got to put in a lot of work to find a good rat. Otherwise, tearing them apart and killing them is the best way to get information about them, and what they're doing. So, honestly, just, they're the worst. You have skinheads trying to get into your bar and whatnot, taking them out and slowly chopping them up. Easy way to get info and just kill them. You can't let that run around because they'll try to use systems and stuff around you to fuck you over. That's what they do. So
yeah, and unfortunately,
you can't allow those guys to make it out with any sort of life.
Yeah, they've been in the city long enough that they have already kind of accomplished that, right? So I'm not sure how. Like they probably didn't. I don't know how deep
that one's a problem. No.
Into these guys so far, but the Empire, they've been in the city for multiple generations now. And they're kind of like a fixture of the Bay, right? Like everyone just like, oh yeah, that's those guys, right? And everyone just kind of deals with it. But on the other side of things, the Asian gang, right? They're a little bit newer, right? Because
the ABB.
At one point the ABB. So these guys were essentially they were a bunch of different Asian gangs, right? Because the just calling someone like Asian isn't really enough, right? There's very very different flavors of Asian, right? And they don't generally get along. Especially when they get into
the Laos and the Koreans are okay with each other. The Laos and the Filipinos, I don't know why, but they hated the hell out of each other when I was, growing up. Like, woof. But yeah.
But then one day, Lung showed up and said, "All y'all motherfuckers work for me, and anyone who disagreed got torched." Right? So now they all work together, but they don't really like it.
Yeah. They're an ethnic gang as opposed to a racist gang because they utilize the fact that they all have this Eastern background as a unifying force, So that's different because that leads to, how do I say it, different strategies from each other and we're not being utilized in what you're doing. Doesn't mean that, black people bad, fuck up all the black people. Oh, wow. What it means is, Asians like me are the group. They're who I'm with. Everyone else is, tools to use or pawns in our game. Which is a better thing to be than the enemy, which is the thing that the Empire does. They mark that of their group as the enemy. Which is super annoying. Just kill those guys when you get the opportunity. It's not worth the hassle. The ABB, you can get a plant, a mole, all sorts of people in there, your own kind of rat. That's actually something I want to bring up real quick. When it comes to these sorts of things, if you gotta deal with them, figuring out what kind of rat you want and touching your toes into some of the different groups and little areas and stuff, whether you're messing with drug dealers or whatever, till you can find someone who's a viable rat. And then doing the work to get a rat in that community is worth it. Because there's different kinds of rats. There's the worst kind that everyone's mad at and just want to kill. And then there's ones who leak bits of information or stuff, especially about other people's movements or about areas they're not gonna be, So you can find your kind of rat. But yeah, with the Empire group thing, that's a lot harder to do. It's a lot easier just to off them. That's honestly the easiest way of handling those guys. But the rest of them that I saw and that came up, it's easier to find rats, except for crews. Crews are really hard to find rats. So, yeah, dealing with a crew is much more work than it is a gang. A gang's super easy to deal with. Yeah, woof. So a group like Tattletales and Grooves, those guys' group, is an especially difficult one to learn about and deal with in this sort of situation. Because, you don't have a rat. You can't get a rat on there. They'll be able to figure that out pretty quick.
Yeah, because there's only like 4 of them.
But
right?
The gang's easy to do. There's another gang that came up that I remember specifically being named who was using all this crazy tech, but I don't remember their name right now. And they had secured the north side with such veracity that the Empire decided to go south into the docks since they saw an opening. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So those were Coil's mercenaries, right? So Coil is kind of like runs his own.
Yes, those are the ones.
Calls it a gang, but really, it seems like a bunch of like ex-military dudes with.
It's like a paramilitary organization.
Yeah, that's more what he's like, right? But he doesn't hold a lot of territory, but what he does hold, he holds it well. And it's like the more some of the most profitable parts of the city, right? He's basically said, screw 95% of the city. I want like the big businesses in downtown and the tourist area, and everything else can go burn. I'm just gonna hold this spot, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold the good ground where I know I've got my interest covered, so that I can worry about handling everything else. Whoever's in charge of that one understands how to keep a network running, and that's by controlling the heart and brain of the city, which they captured really well. Good job on them.
Yeah. So that's probably someone we'll have to look out for.
What they need next is deliver.
Yes.
Later.
Yeah. So they definitely are fly under the radar kind of deal. They don't draw. They kind of get mentions in passing, but people kind of go, yeah, but he's whatever. Like they're whatever, right? They could kind of get brushed off because they're dealing with like neo-Nazis and and like this Asian group that's kidnapping people off the street, right? So they've kind of got these two things, these two bigger worries to worry about, and on top of that, they also
I don't know what they're doing with the kidnapping yet, but I have assumptions based off of my own experiences with different Asian groups, especially the Chinese. So, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, so like when people talk about like are talking about gangs, they typically don't even mention Coil because they're like, oh yeah, those are the paramilitary guys who literally only fight other gang members and sometimes the cops, right? That they're more interested in actually preserving like property and life like in their zone rather than like wanton destruction, right?
Exactly. They want to control the area where white collar criminals are. It's an intelligent spot to own. If you own where the white collar criminals are and you keep them safe, then you have access to funds that no one else has access to. Because they can money launder and do all these other things, host a banquet or whatever, and get so much money coming in so fast that you can, as long as you're smart about it and use it quickly, you can get that money to get what you want done. That's the problem, though. You have to use that money fast once you get it. And usually it means putting into off all these other accounts and then using it from there. But the thing is, if you take too long to use it, you lose it. That money goes fast. It's always just been the way that is, so. Yeah, it's a really good racket to have, but you're running a lot of high-profile risk owning it. But if you're not the ones who are the white-collar criminals, if you just know them and protect them and keep them safe, then if they get caught and in trouble, well, you're not who the cops are going to send them after. They're going to send them after others of their own kind, because that's how that goes. So you're still in the clear. It's a really nice, cushy spot. Like, they're so smart to have it.
All right, yeah, and that kind of covers three of the four major gangs. There is one more. I don't even know if they've gotten mentioned here or not because they also get kind of brushed off because they're not people don't even think of them as a real gang, quote unquote, all that much because of how disorganized they are. Like there's a lot of them, but they don't really hold territory so much as they
I heard
live in
the
the
name
spots
the
that no one else seems to know.
Undersiders. Is that the what?
That's Gru and Telltale, their crew.
So that's their gang or their crew. Okay.
Yeah,
No, they
they're
don't really
the
have enough
last
to be a
gang.
gang yet, from what I've seen. That's a crew.
Yeah, no, they're like a crew. They like do like jobs, right? But like on the last sort of gang in the city, they're called the Merchants, and they're pretty much just like the leftovers, pretty much all the criminals who don't fit in with the very racially charged tensions between the other gangs. They're the ones who don't give enough of a shit to like cut it
They're
with
like the Foot
with
Clan,
those gangs.
where those who are bad and left behind, who feel like they have no other place to go, they're like that. Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah,
There's
pretty
always one or
much.
two of those
Uh,
around.
yeah, people still, don't like them at all because they are like peddling drugs and not like in a safe or nice or clean way. And they generally tend to cause a lot of property
Yep.
damage wherever they group up. So, but generally speaking, people don't think of them as like
Yeah, makes
the
sense.
big problem so much as they are the symptom, right?
Yeah, they're more like, the symptom of teenagers not being able to get work and stuff like that, whatever. Yeah. Which is true. That's how those happen. People don't have a place, their
Yeah.
parents are abusive or whatever, so they wind up in those sorts of places instead. Because getting beaten up by someone who teaches you how to fight is better than being beaten up by someone who, just beats you up and never teaches you shit.
hmm Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, those are kind of the
Yeah.
big sort of groups. Um, and Arms Master kind of maybe had a point when he was talking about how dangerous it could be uh, for everyone to know that Taylor was the one who took down Lung, considering his position as kind of being like the linchpin that holds the entire ABB together.
Yeah. Like, yeah, because, like, when you understand that, there's people who would want one to take her out, duh. But two, the amount of people who would want to falsely acquire her to use her in a different way than what they're advertising is mammy. There's a few who would actually want to get her on board, you know, but for the most part, it's set them up to take care of other problems without actually being what we're promising and saying. That's sort of where she would be. Because you don't want that person next to your boss because they could take out your boss. So there's all these sort of underground factors that people would be playing with her. Like, yes, we
Yeah,
want that, but
so
we don't want that right here in the house. It's, yeah.
yeah, that's a kind of like a perfect transition. Um, so she leaves school. She goes to the library and uses the computers there instead. And she sets up a meeting with the Undersiders, and she gets to meet them.
No,
So,
that's
what
where the meeting
category do
set up.
you think
Yeah.
Tattletale falls into? What is Tattletale doing? What is her motivation? What do you think?
Wing by category. Motivation.
Earlier you said that there are. there are
Okay.
people who, like, when you're talking about people who would want to acquire Taylor, right, or Skid, or her persona anyway.
Okay. Yeah. So, Tattletale is, in my opinion, seeing someone who, can take a fall if they need someone to take a fall. Because right now, they can't lose anybody in their crew. They can't. They can't afford to lose anyone. So if they have her, they have enough of a powerhouse with her and Hellhound where if something happens and they have to dump someone, they could actually dump one person without having to fight to the bitter end and still remain a functional crew. So she's super useful in that. She's a great crew member to have, but she's also someone who, due to the way she is, what you can drop. You're not going to be losing something that you can't live without. Another interesting factoid about...
they were perfectly functional before, right? So theoretically, she comes on board. If she drops off board, then, no harm, no foul, all well, right? We were doing fine before anyway.
Yeah. And the other thing about it is Tattletale and their crew don't like to be very well known by people. They don't want everyone knowing all their facets and details because they're a crew, not a gang. So by having someone else up there, they have someone who can take any of that heat that, they don't want. They don't have someone who really, or any other groups around who really take the blame for what they do. So having someone internally who you can utilize that way and also utilize as a bargaining chip. You don't think about that, but this is the person who took out Wong, right? They can use her as a bargaining chip if it comes down to it. If their place gets taken over by one of the other big gangs, say, hey, this is the person who took out that crazy motherfucker who was on top of everything and whatnot. You take them into your crew and whatnot or whatever. You got yourself a nice weapon and everything. Just, let us walk or whatever. All sorts of possibilities there. So no matter what Tattletale is thinking, Taylor is an incredibly useful tool to have around. But at the same time, not one who you know well enough to, have in the bedroom with you. It's not a dog who you would have in the bedroom. You can have that in the living room, invite him to the house and sit by the fire with it, but it's not coming to the bedroom with you at night. That's the way of wording it,
I love that statement.
Which is funny, because, she sets up a whole room for her.
Yeah, I love that statement because of how ironic it is. She does literally be like, hey, here's a bedroom. And we'll just put a pin in that comment where probably, not about not being taken into the bedroom. And we'll revisit that later. Much later down the line. So she kind of joins the Undersiders, but that's
Tattletale wants to anyway.
No, but yeah, that's a good. So she meets up with the Undersiders, and they're kind of just still teenagers, which wasn't really what she was expecting. Because these
correction,
are
she meets up with most of the Undersiders.
True.
She doesn't meet two people when she first arrives. Yeah, so there's two people she hasn't met yet after arriving who we know are there. There might be others, but I doubt it. So she doesn't meet, Hellhound. Bitch is not there when she arrives. And she learns that Bitch did not want her as part of the crew. Voted against it. My else voted for her. And she did not meet the boss, whoever that is. So she didn't even get a name drop of the boss or anything like that yet, which, again, even though they know her first name, and she knows their first names now. You know, she doesn't get any information about the boss. Title, nothing. Just that they have a boss.
So that's actually a good point.
Yeah, that's woof.
We should probably talk about why she joined, right? Because like she wants to be a hero, right? And so Arms Master had basically mentioned in the last arc, hey, because originally he thought that she was a villain because of the way she was dressed and everything. And when she asked about those people that came by, and he was like, oh, those are the Undersiders. We know essentially nothing about them because they're super fucking slippery. They're basically impossible to pin down. We've tried several times and it has never gone well. They pretty much just escape whatever like line we try to put up. Even if we respond in time for them to not have already escaped, right? So when this offer comes out, like, hey, meet with us, she's like, oh, this is a good way for me to like find where their base is, right? And then she gets taken back to their base, and she's like, all right, well, I have enough to.
But of course, she knows nothing about espionage.
No, not at all. And that's a point that will come up later. But yeah, she's like, cool. I found their base. I guess I'll turn them in. And then Telltale's like, hey, boss just called in with a new job. And so she's like, oh, boss. Who the fuck is this boss? Maybe I should stick around a little longer to see if I can figure out who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So that's her mental reasoning.
Yeah, exactly.
What
She's,
do you think about this?
Yeah. So Taylor threw herself in too deep and then step away when she had the shot. Well, I'm gonna say that right away because here's where you can step away. Okay, we gotta cover the dog in the room. Well, what Hellhound does in this chapter clearly was meant to be a way of reinforcing people to dislike Hellhound. But because I've dealt with people like this, I've had this same fucking experience happen. Even in my house, I had one like this happen. Where the occurs, that's very fucking normal. And she had her chance to leave, which was when they were getting food. If you stay for the food after this sort of encounter, because it's the normal one that happens a lot, then what that means is you're sticking around. You're in it. So, you're a member of the pack, sorry, but that's what's up now, and people are going to track you and make sure you stay that way. If she walked here and whatnot, the person who had attacked her and whatnot as part of this thing would be an enemy of hers for life. That's just how that works. But she would be able to fucking leave. And whatever information she gathered would be covered up and dusted under the rug. The place normally wouldn't take her straight to the place as the house, but sometimes it happens. They wouldn't be there next time. When she shows up or has other people do so or anything like that. Everything would be covered, swept, and moved. It's not hard to do, it's pretty normal. Either that or she'd be taken out. Which again, pretty normal, pretty darn easy. But yeah, that was her opportunity to leave. She did not take it. No, yeah, she stayed for food. So that means you're in it. Get fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did have several.
Well, that's the real option to leave is after that fight. That's the real one. I'm just telling you because that's how that works. Yeah. Woof. But I've literally had that happen where I got stabbed in the stomach by someone and we went and got burgers afterwards, so I soaked myself up, and we were cool and chill. I still talk to him on Discord sometimes, yeah. It's the way of it.
Yeah, it's when you're dealing with these kinds of people, sometimes you're going to run into the guy who doesn't understand any language other than violence, right? And I believe even Gru kind of says something about that.
Not so much that they don't understand it. It's that they believe that language is the one that bears your soul. So in this case, it's very much there's a lot to say about that whole thing. It's very much, though, a standard test of your mettle. Where are you in a fight? How are you thinking? How are you reacting? When we need you most and when you're at your limit, who and what are you? What is that? And are you capable of being here? Are you worth being here? Do you understand what kind of fight is happening? Are you capable of that? There's so much going on with these sort of things. It's very ritualistic, but yeah, it's a whole thing. Taylor didn't really do great. She did kind of bad, but okay enough. She's like the amount of damage and stuff she was doing was okay, but she didn't understand core basic things of what was happening in the fight. Like that the fact the dogs were holding her down, trying to pin her in place. She instead assumed they were attacking her. Stuff like that. So there's a lot to it where she failed many parts of that test, but, she didn't do bad enough to be worthless. So, yay. It's as a whole thing. It's a whole thing, my guy. And I've been see that a lot. Fuck.
Yeah, but it seems like the other undersiders aren't on, but don't really get it either, right? Like that's mostly just a bitch thing.
Yeah, that's a little bit strange. None of them really get it, which is odd because usually there's others who do. Well, I've never had it where there are people who don't, except maybe one or two people, and they're usually more like the regent there who doesn't get it, or whatever his name is, the jokey one, those kind of people. But those kind of people also, with what I'm from, usually have a big board on the wall that is made by everyone else with like months, weeks, and ways in which they think they're gonna die. And they're all betting on that. Like that's pretty normal with that kind of guy in a group. And the amount of anger you see when the month switches over and someone didn't die any of those ways who's like that is fucking hilarious. I'm just gonna say it. It really is. We had one guy who, the way he wound up dying, and this is so fucking stupid, was because, okay, with those people, you don't actively directly try to kill them yourself because that's interfering with, betting. You don't interfere with betting in the Alaskan cruises if you don't. Like, sure, you can fuck up, like, the U.S. politician, whatever, we don't care, but you mess with, like, Fat Bear Week or anything, we'll kill you. So, when it comes to these guys, there's these betting walls on there. And, I would say, the guy who died this particular way, he wound up, the way it was set up was, someone wanted him to die by being hit by a vehicle, under a few other circumstances. So, lining everything up, they're like, okay, this week, here's what we're going to do on the weekend. Let's all go and we'll tie someone to the back of a car on like ski things and whatnot. And then we'll drive out the car with like a fucking Subaru and some shit on the like black ice, and go, woo, ski, I'll be great. So, they'll just have the one guy do it. Like everybody's doing that stupid shit. It's taking a turn, it lasted less than 3 seconds, by the way, before I just went zoom into a tree. But I lived. He wound up dying because at one of the corners, he thumped off and landed in a snowbank face first. And just suffocated in there, died. And no one for that entire month had that he would suffocate or anything on there, or that snow would be involved. So no one won any money when he actually died. And it was hilarious, the amount of anger everyone had. But yeah, just a little relevant thing with the kind of people that like hellhound / bitch is coming from. Yeah, right.
Right, yeah.
So no one here in this group has that sort of mentality.
No, and
yeah,
even
bitches come from her own place compared to everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And she's also like not really old enough to have been around, like been like deeply ingratiated in that kind of culture. At least presumably depending on what her upbringing was, right? Like if she was like did live a relatively normal life
Yeah.
until she, got powers and fucked off, that was probably only like a couple of years ago, right? And she's like not even 18 yet,
Yeah.
so
And
she
if
maybe she
she
doesn't
wound up
have.
growing around it though and stuff, it makes sense that that's the only thing left of her, really. So woof, we don't know yet. And it's gonna be exciting to find out. Like, did she
Yeah,
become this way over just a few years of dealing with crap, or was she ingratiated into this well before?
it's interesting.
But
I mean, I
she's
know the
great.
answer,
I love her
obviously,
even more
but
after this because it's like being with Alaskans.
yeah, you know, you're not you're not wrong. Um, but yeah, so we get to learn all their names. We got Lisa, Alec, Rachel, and Brian.
Yeah,
Um,
we learned their human names. Oh, whoa, whoa.
yes, they're normal
And they're like
civilian
faces.
names.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learn that
Yeah, I'm
Tattletale's
gonna
like.
say it. Gru's a bit of a hottie. I'm just gonna say it.
I mean, yeah, especially when you're reading his description through Taylor's lens, because holy shit, that girl does not realize how horny she is.
Oh yeah. No, she does not.
Um,
She does not. But I'm
no,
I'm very like hearing it from her. Like, you know what? I get it. Woo, girl. Yeah. And we got the dogs' names
um,
too. Actually, I think one is named Brutus, and one has a silly name, and one has another Latin-based name. Gosh,
yeah,
what was
Brutus,
it?
Judith, and
They're
Angelica.
cute dogs too, by the way.
Very.
Angelica,
Those are
that's
good
the other
dogs.
one. Yeah.
Who has one eye?
They're good dogs, and I love them. Yes. Yeah, so cute.
Um,
Which
they're
wow.
the best of dogs.
Yeah.
So,
They really
so
are.
yeah, beyond.
They really understood the assignments they were given too, and sort of like when to like see things out and not like react too much because they could have just went and you know killed everyone there. They could have, especially when like
Yeah,
their own crew members were attacking. Bitch, a dog who wasn't trained would have just assumed, oh, under attack by all sides. Fuck them. But they didn't.
mhm,
They understood what was going on. And that's really cool. Good training. Really good dogs. Shit.
exactly. So and that's also a good point, right? Because I don't know if it was brought up or mentioned at all, but the good guys, like the law,
Screech. Face.
assume that Rachel's power gives her control over dogs. But we kind of see here that's not the case at
Yeah.
all.
That
She
it's
has been
about
trained them super
training.
well.
Like, she could do this to any dog, and, like, they might obey her. We don't know. But it would be very loosely if so. Like, the more training she does, the better they're going to react and deal with the transformation and everything that they're doing. So, we don't know if it literally just changes their form or if it applies a little bit of, like, a conscious connection. But either it does. Training just makes you better. And these guys are hella good trained. So they're great.
Very,
Woof.
very, very.
So yeah, honestly, that girl Rachel, she is very talented and very skilled when it comes to her field. So they are very lucky to have her. They just
Very. I
gotta
mean,
get her to associate the other things they think are important, like these social skills and whatnot, with like the people around the city. That to see those as the same survival skills that everything else she's been doing is. If they can manage that somehow, some way, like she would be the most effective member of their team, and not just like
oh, yeah,
in combat, but at
absolutely.
everything they do. So yeah,
Yeah, because like right now she is kind of like she's kind of like a bazooka, right? Like you wave that around the room and everyone's gonna fucking listen to you, but it's really difficult to sneak into like an elevator, right? Like, like it's like it's a very blunt object. but it's a very effective one.
I've had it. Yeah. It's funny that you say that. My dad used to sneak all sorts of military equipment on and off base for all sorts of shit. Right.
Probably not a
All
bazooka, and
sorts of
probably
shit.
not on his person.
For all sorts
Yeah,
of things.
we know what I mean. Yeah.
That happened, but boys will be boys. But definitely not through an elevator. I don't.
No, probably yeah, probably not on his person.
No.
Not something that like.
No.
But yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah. No. It's funny. It is funny though. But yeah, no. They're once you know those patrols, they're really easy. But anyways, point is, it's difficult. It's wieldy. She is currently as big a challenge to keep in order as she is a boon when chaos breaks out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. She has downsides for now.
Squish.
We'll see if she manages to grow. You know, in the future.
Well, let's see here. Oh, way earlier on in the chapter, there's the conversation with Taylor and her dad. And when they were having that conversation, he mentioned that she went out last night and she said she went on a run, all that sort of stuff, blah, blah, blah. But he noticed that her hair was singed and she came with an obvious blatant lie, which was that, maybe it was the stove. Oh, swag,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, but she did also mention that she made some friends. So, I don't know if her dad, on what his sort of connections are, because we're not going to get whether he's making a brain connection of like, oh, things got so bad, someone finally stepped in to help her out, until she's got some friends, or she's in with the wrong crowd now and they're burning her hair and doing mess and shit. I don't know. Whoa. Or what he's thinking, because you don't get his perspective on that yet. So, woofy doofy.
Yeah, like if in the theoretical world where I had a teenage daughter, right? And they snuck out one night and came home and their hair was singed, my first thought would be that they probably went to like a bonfire, right? Or something along those lines. But I live in Alaska, so the New England inner city version of that is probably
Yeah.
like, like a burn barrel or something. I don't know, fucking know.
Yeah, burn barrels, dead hobo inside. I don't fucking know. I'm not from there.
Yeah, same sort of like logic applies where it's like, just a bunch of kids getting together and burning shit just for the fuck of it and, probably drinking, probably doing some drugs, just kind of like
Probably
chilling,
drink it.
hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, if it's a good one, they got food too. Hell yeah. If it's a bad one, no food. That's honestly a good way of telling. Like, most Jim Creek parties, no food. Then, people die and
Yeah.
disappear and get pulled off into the woods and stuff or freeze to death in their trucks all the time because it's this shitty party, but everyone goes.
Yeah.
And then there's good
Like
ones where you have fucking barbecues. Worth it.
Yeah. I don't know anyone who would willingly go to Jim Creek for any reason at all.
Right.
Well, I guess.
Right, and so many people do though, and they take their truck, drive it through the creek to get to where the parties are at. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're ruining your truck. And nah, there's so many like dead people in the river too, not just like out where you're going and stuff, but like, it's just, but kids still do that. So, I'll be like,
Mhm.
oh, I hope they meant to a good one, not some fucking Jim Creek crap.
Yeah. So we don't really necessarily know what Danny is thinking here, but I did one of my favorite individual lines, kind of like moments in the whole
Oh, yeah,
book,
yeah.
happens right at the very end of the main part of this arc. And the reason I'm bringing it up now, not necessarily because we're done
Oh,
talking
just
about it,
before the
because it
interlude?
leads back into this conversation. Yeah. Do you know the did this line stick out to you? Did this line stick out to you at all? Did it stick in your memory? I'm just curious.
No, no, it does not.
Okay, so the very last paragraph
Um, no,
before the end of the arc,
because I
there
remember
is
them
in the
stitching and
loft.
stuff and all that. I was fine. I was normal, expecting food.
Yeah, so she's in
Give
the
me
loft, right? And
yeah, yeah. Tell me about this scenario. What was happening?
she's on the phone with her dad. Her dad uh like she's on the phone with her dad, and she's looking at the coffee at the table,
Is it
and she sees like
the when he's
the
asking?
lunchbox. Hmm?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it the part where she's talking with him about like the friends that she made? Is it that part?
Yeah,
Okay, so it's one of these two lines. It's either when she says better than ever, I kind of made some friends, or it's they seem like good people. I lied.
yes, that line is chef's kiss. It really stuck with me. It's a very well liked line, I'll say. A lot of people enjoyed that one a lot. She's like looking at the pile of stolen cash and the gun, and then she's like, "Yeah, no, they seem like good people."
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the
fucking
amount of money is
fucking
actually
Catherine.
really good. I want to state that. So typically, when you're working that line of work and you're on like the bottom tiers, you make about 5,000 a month, maybe a little more depending on what you're doing. And the thing is, though, that money, because it comes from that field, dissipates super fast. Like, I don't understand quite how it does it, but it does. It disappears as quickly as you get it. So, and it's really funny because sometimes you can rack up like 10, 15K super fast, and then it's gone because some stupid thing happened, or someone needed this or that, or some bullshit, or it's usually something happens where it goes away, or someone else breaks in and steals your stuff, or whatever, or all sorts of shit, or you spent it on something to stay up there, like, they're doing the big car show and everything, and you gotta have a car to go to the show and whatnot, so you can do that and stuff, because everyone else is going, what are you? The chicken shit? What are you? Might you go? And all sorts of stupid crap like that builds up until you lose that money as fast as you're making it, and you basically wind up living the same way you would if you just worked at Wally World. There might be like a place or two you go that's nicer and set up cool, but that's typically how it winds up. And it fucking sucks. Like, if you know what you're doing, you can make some really good money and keep it, but you got to be able to set up those stock bonds and all that other stuff out the gate. Because if you don't know that, you're going to get fucked and lose all this money. And you will always be thinking about that and what you could have done. And it will ruin you for life, man. Fuck. Anyways,
So yeah,
yeah. So the
when she
retainer
first
fee is
meets
pretty good
the
that she was making the 2K and then whatever they make from the jobs. Yeah.
so that was the kind of the thing was when she was introduced when she met them in the first place. They gave her a bunch of cash and said, "Yeah, that's just for saving our asses, or it's a retainer fee." Wink, wink. Up to you. You can turn around and walk away right now, which is one of the many options that
Yeah.
she had to turn around and walk away that she didn't take. Or you can come with us and we can talk about work
Yeah.
in fields doing things, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, $2,000 a month just for hanging out and being available is pretty decent. Especially when you talk about the kinds of cash they generally tend to pull in, on top of the fact that their boss seems to be paying them extra on top of whatever their cash they're bringing.
Yeah. And it makes me really want to see what the jobs are specifically, and then afterwards, where the gains or whatever and stuff from job are going. You know, because I know with the ABB, it's probably a lot of like human trafficking and organ dealing and powders. Because a lot of those groups, especially the Chinese, will take a body, turn down the powders, and then sell it as aphrodisiacs. And all sorts of other stuff, but mainly aphrodisiacs. So they're pretty easy to guess sort of what things they're doing on top of the basic gang rackets. But these guys are definitely doing some more specific work. And I remember when I was with folks like this and stuff, one of the things was, skins of certain qualities so that you could make books. For example, like Moby Dick was often made with like human skin and needed the right kind of skin or else it wouldn't sell. But that would be something you'd sell off to Europe. So there's a bunch of different things like that were really specific things. And, like, I don't know what they're doing yet. Are they dealing with gemstones? Are they dealing with General Bus is the guy who's in charge with some sort of polymath who figures out what's going to be selling and doing really well and set them up for things? Or is he like a mercenary crew like, hey, if we go blow up this particular place and whatnot, or we threaten this guy and whatnot, then we'll get money from this other thing and this politician or whatever? Or is he in all of it? Because a lot of these groups, especially the ones I was in, were involved in so much shit you had no idea what was going on if you missed a month or two because you were injured, which, happened here. So, yeah. And I was just like little tiny little person there who's like barely a part of anything happening. Not in the type of position where Taylor is, where like they want you actively doing like crazy amounts of the work and stuff, like fuck.
Yeah, I don't know if it was mentioned or what, but the reason why Lung wanted to come kill the Undersiders specifically was because their last job was robbing one of his casinos.
Yeah, I want to see how these goes down, what happens, what they get, though. That's really important to me. Like, does stuff go to the boss? Do they keep all the money they take? Do they take objects from places as well? Like, how is this stuff going down? I want to see a play through it. And I know we'll get there because Taylor's going to definitely go on a job with them. Like, that's just going to happen. She has not figured out a way to avoid that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
We can say that for sure.
It's exciting.
She's definitely going to do a job. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, we will get to see more into that in the near future. So, yeah, any other
I'm
sort
excited.
of major overarching things you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
I kind of think we covered all the main stuff.
Well, I know I had some yesterday. Again, I'll say it, like all of Rachel's expressions and whatnot given here were really spot on with that kind of behavior, the way that goes down. So, this person, whoever wrote this might have actually like known someone who'd been in this kind of situation and whatnot, because that's perfect. Like, that's how that goes, man. It was so good. There's this great moment in there where you can tell about her evaluation of Taylor, because she gives a bit of her rating where she mentions that, when Taylor's going, you take your dogs and we try to kill me. And then, Rachel says, well, they weren't trying to kill you. They were just, that command was to hurt. Like, that's a rating from Rachel on Taylor's assessment and performance, during that encounter. So that moment, and then the way she smiled and stuff during it's a little bit of blood and everything was like, yeah, I won. I did the test. I got the results that I thought I was going to get. So, the reasons I most likely gave for you not joining are just being proven by what happened. So there's all that, but yeah. So Taylor ate with them, so That's well, depending on the person, that's either in the past or gonna be like my assessment was right. Screw you, you know. So we'll see how it is with Bitch and Taylor. Because like some of my best friends are those who that literally they're the one who like attacked me and stuff that way. So we'll see.
Mm.
I said like
I
literally
I love
they just stabbed me in the stomach and whatnot, and then we got burgers. Yeah. So
I absolutely love the fact that you love Bitch so much.
this is great.
And I do
Yes.
I guess I
So
will sort
wonderful.
of comment here.
Piece of home.
With the way that Bitch acts, right, shows that they very clearly have a very different viewpoint on reality and society than the average citizen, right? But also, on the other
Yeah,
hand,
especially these other guys and wherever
Taylor,
they're coming from. Like two of the other ones came from different cities. So I think Gru came from a different city, if I remember right, and Rachel definitely did too. Is that right?
I think no, Gru is from Brockton Bay, but the other two are not. Or actually, none of. Sorry, the other
Oh, so
three
the other
aren't.
two aren't.
And none
Okay.
of the other ones are.
We got that confused.
Yeah. Um. It
Okay.
hasn't really been mentioned yet,
So I'm
but
gonna assume that they're all from different cities.
yeah, yeah.
That makes sense why Gru's like the quasi leader, because he knows the city. Yeah, that makes
Mhm.
sense.
And I don't think it's been mentioned yet, but it will pretty soon. Before this gang kind of got started, he was like doing his own thing. Like he was like doing essentially mercenary like parahuman work where people would just pay him to go stand guard or watch something. And if people showed up, he'd use his power, right, to the sort of darkness cloud thing and beat the shit out of people in the dark. And
No,
kind
yeah,
of
I
like
get it.
so he was kind of like doing mercenary
Yeah,
grunt
I,
work
I get it.
um, on his own before this.
Yeah, well, that's actually a pretty kind of common line of work, but it's usually paired up with a few other people. So that's interesting that it was solo, because usually you'll get uh, essentially like a watcher slash a viewer who also is like the runner. So if y'all need supplies or anything like that, or something goes wrong, or information needs to go, and you can't use something, they handle all that. Then you have it's usually a walker, usually move from one spot to another, back and forth. You'll you'll move from this street to this street, and you'll do a few little walks, and you'll of course hang out in different spots a little bit throughout it, but that's mainly what you're doing. And the
Mhm.
reason you do that is if you get close to someone who is a threat and whatnot, then you kill them, or whoever's like the kind of target that you're okay with. Like, again, it could be that you guys want the skins or whatever. Pull them, stab them in the gut, twist it up in there, leave it in there, and you drop it. Runner grabs them and moves the body to where other people would process it or take care of whatever was going on. That's just normally how that goes. At least three people. Usually there's two in the back, one who's on the little watch thing, and one who walks. So, kind of interesting. They had him running the whole operation there, but seemed like it wasn't as lethal as normal. So that might be why.
Mhm. Yeah, it seems more like he was hired on very short-term bases. Like if like they were unloading cargo uh, from like boats into trucks, right? He'd stand there for like a couple of hours, right, and just defend that kind of thing. Or maybe like if there was a meeting or get together, he'd stand at the door, right? That was kind of his shtick, from what I
Yeah.
understand. I'm not sure how much that is spelled out in the text in the future, but that's kind of what my understanding of what Gru was doing.
We'll see what my understanding becomes. He was eating cucumbers in New York City.
But yeah, the other three all came from somewhere else. Notably, I don't know if it came up or not, but Alec, who is Regent, is Canadian, so he's not even from the country. And then the other two kind of came from nearby, not New England, but elsewhere.
I bet you he has in a place a lot of French Canadians because he has their sort of like laissez-faire attitude, but he doesn't have quite their I'm better than the universe attitude they have, but had it close. I think use a non-French person over in a
Quebec?
French Canadian area. Yeah, perfect. That makes sense to me.
Somewhere like that. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. There are things and stuff. All this stuff will become important later, but again, it'll get spelled out as time tends to go as time goes on. Yeah. Anything else?
Or will it?
Had percolating inside of your brain.
God, I know there was stuff yesterday, but man, darn. Oh, but let's see here. Oh, the specificities mentioned about two different people's powers, Tattletales and I think his name is Bakuda or something. That's trying to me hit that left ear.
Bakuda?
What was his name? Maybe? Yes, I think that's right.
Bakuda? Did they mention her this early?
Yeah, they got mentioned. I know I had thoughts on that. I'm trying to find them where they mentioned. I'm okay. I'm actively scrolling through the pages now. I gotta find it because I had thoughts with what little is there.
Yeah, I forgot.
They went over again that what's his name? Oni Lee is, teleporting. But they mentioned her here. And I don't know what they said anymore. I gotta find it. Because it is in here. I think it's before the nobody likes her. Ashley wills her. Well stuff. So I'm trying to. Wow. Come, you mean Shinji? Okay, this isn't the part. Scatter your for this. I'm kind of funny because I had thoughts. Okay. Looking for that information.
I totally forgot that she was even mentioned so early. Considering, well, stuff. It's interesting. But yeah, if you have thoughts on her so early,
she came up.
Much.
Oh yeah. So the first bit I read through. So the Oni Lee part, it mentions that he creates another version of himself nearby, and the old version sticks around for a little bit, and then he poofs or melts or whatever. But he can duplicate the shit he has as well. So he has like grenades and whatnot. He can like boom, 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 like grenade is free. So that was an interesting part there that they mentioned about him. But they did mention Bakuda. Here we go. That she was only recently added, and that picture of her, whatever, metal mask, gas mask sort of thing and whatnot. She kind of looks like a Hydra agent. Yeah. Yes, so what she can do is design and fabricate high-tech bombs. She has a whole video about, like, having a bomb threat towards a school, a university specifically, and, like, Taylor specifically did not check that out. So there's not much more about her, but she gets brought up. And I did not know that person was a part of the ABB before this. And now that I hear she is one of the people under Lung, and not just this Starscream type guy, I feel that the threat to people around Lung and those who actually harmed him is a lot higher. And if the ABB is able to make a connection that Taylor and the Undersiders are working together, which, depending on how much they get out of Lung later, they might be able to figure that out. That the Undersiders are not ready for what Bakuda could do. Looking at their base of operations and the area it's at, there's not a lot of traffic of people around, but there's enough, including normal people, ugly people who have been through the ringer, all sorts of people around, where one person going through and reaching, whether from the outside or the inside of their building, the supports and setting up a proper bomb is a legitimate threat to them. And she can make really high-tech ones and whatnot. The only one of them who could really do anything about it, because she just time it when people aren't there, that's what they're really good at, people who use bombs and mines and anything. Yeah, is that network gets set up, Pi by Sun doesn't even know what the hell it is, and is barely even connected to the ABB. Boom, super easily in a tag spot or whatever, as part of a tag. You might not even know. And the only one who could tell anything about it would be Bitch. And I do not think that Rachel spent any time training her dogs on detection of certain plastics or chemicals that are related to explosives. So, really, they got no defense against Bakuda if she's got any sort of skill backing up her talent for making those bombs. So, that one's a legitimate threat who no one in the city knows enough about yet. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, what Ours Master was saying, a little more legitimate when you see her.
Yeah, it is mentioned, I get, because she is added recently. I suppose it should be said how recently, because it's very recently. In fact, this
Yeah, it's like 10 days, right?
Later. Yeah, something like that, right? Because if I remember correctly, then what had happened is the reason why they went and robbed the casino in the first place was because they knew Lung would be out of the city, and the reason why Lung was out of the city was to go recruit Bakuda. So it's recent.
That makes a lot of sense. Wow. But yeah, since I got a little bit of information here, Lumba's really playing the game, and he was playing it right. Gotta say that mad respect for him, But even he got beat in that first little bit, I mean, I think anyone would have if they wound up dealing with that with no preparation time at all. Yeah.
Yeah, a sudden onset of Taylor.
It's kind of like getting a nuke to your face,
Usually, because it's a really, really bad time.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, especially for someone with for someone kind of going back over all this content, right? Knowing about what happens in the future, it's very interesting and more than a little sad to read how little Taylor seems to hold herself, in regard, proportional to the actual threat.
Oh yeah, that's almost every psycho. With what I've seen, the biggest difference between sociopaths and psychopaths is that sociopaths tend to self-aggrandize, all the time, and trivialize other people, whereas psychopaths tend to see all the wrong things in themselves, all of the failures and stuff, as the thing that they need to defeat in the everyday. Fuck this, I didn't do this, damn, and all these points go down, Whereas everyone else, they see all the things that they're capable of and that they could do and whatnot. And when they lash out and do things and whatnot, it's against what others can do or the lack of control or things that they have going on. Whereas a sociopath rather just sort of lashes out because they know they can get away with it. Whereas a psychopath, that's only one of like many factors. The main factor is that like they can catch up or, get an advantage. Whereas with a sociopath, they don't need to get an advantage from it. That's not ever necessary. They already have the advantage. So, and it's a little key little point there for this, why I think specifically Taylor is a psychopath. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Squish.
It's good that you're
Squish.
cottoning on
Squish.
so early
Squish.
as to what kind of a problem Taylor is for her opposition this early on, because especially if you're just like listening to her, if you're just taking everything that the narration says at face value, then she sucks, right? But if you kind of like read around the words
right.
a little bit, you're like, she's
I'm
scary.
I had my first bout in a fight, and I summoned Kryptonite to bridge slap Superman out of the sky. I'm such a weakling. Oh wow. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Yeah.
She's like, I almost died so long. Whereas everyone else looks at it and goes, motherfucker, you basically beat Long. Like, almost by yourself. That is like...
That you almost 1v1'd him. Everyone else has had to use teams just to try for a little win.
Yeah, like, he's been here for so long. Like, the reason why the ABB has existed for years is because the entire government-sponsored hero team can't beat him together.
Yeah.
Right? And she almost soloed him.
Yeah.
And
like, he is the boss raid, and she almost won that on her own. Yeah, exactly. Because, for her, it's a fight that she lost. She would have been dead without these other people stepping in. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but and then so it's like she's confused. It's like, man, why are these people being so nice to me? Why do they want me here? I don't really get it, but I guess I'll roll with it. And they're like, bitch, the fuck you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't we be nice to you? You could kill all of us very swiftly.
Yeah, this is a freaking powerhouse.
Mm-hmm. And she's even she's even like
internally only
mentioned how easy it would be to kill people, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, just a Black Widow or Brown Recluse, just out of nowhere, and it would look perfectly natural. But I'm not that person, right? But so everyone else is rightfully fucking terrified. Yeah,
right.
So,
she could do so much more too. Gosh.
Go ahead.
Sorry. For example, with praying mantises, for example. If she just sets up a little soy farm or finds one, she could set up praying mantises there to get them in their rut. And then when they're in their rut and they're eating from soy, they produce a toxin in there where you can't feel when they bite you. And because they're in their rut, they want blood and flesh. So they will literally rip quarter size, sometimes even 3 to 4 quarter size pieces out of people or animals that walk by. And most people, animals won't even know about it, that it happened or feel it. So she could do something like that to build up that toxin, and then get a bunch of that and just use that in a fight so no one knows the level of damage they're at, or use it in conjunction with a few other things to give her own people basically a cocaine without having to utilize cocaine and all of its negative effects to prevent them from falling in a battle, even though they're already dead, if it's that bad. There's a lot of things she could do. Which is a little bit more research and time in things, but She
And if
hasn't
she
thought to
really
go that
wanted to,
way. She is too caught up in the concept of villain versus hero.
yeah, if she really wanted to as well, she could like artificially induce like a new like a wave of like locusts, right? Like something we've basically managed to eradicate. And she could just be like, yeah, no, snap her fingers essentially, and like over the course of like however long it takes to form a plague of locusts, create one out of nowhere, right? Some Get some grasshoppers together, get them in the
Well,
right
it depends.
situation,
If you,
and
yeah, if you have enough and you prevent them from actually doing the act of eating each other when they're doing a thing where they're pressing against each other and it's too much and whatnot, if you force them not to do that, you can trigger almost all of them into that starvation mode. So she could create her own box to turn so many of them fast. Within a matter of weeks, she could have a whole bag of locusts. And if she wanted, she could choose and start with some locusts that are from, oh gosh, I forget which part it is. It's one of the northern African countries. But she could start with one of those, and they already will eat like baby birds and stuff like that. So getting them on a full thing of meat is pretty easy to do. So she could mass produce those guys and send a flesh-eating locust swarm out upon the city very
yeah,
easily.
if she wanted to.
It's only a couple weeks, man, that she could get that done. If she wanted to, yeah.
Yeah, and other people see that,
We know?
and she is like, I don't get it, you know.
No, I will get, man. And think about the good she could do, too, with her ability to handle those, like, black widows and whatnot, creating anti-venom and whatnot. She could make a whole huge killing with that if they just set her up with a nice little building for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And at a fraction of the cost it takes us to do it, like, wow.
Absolutely. So yeah, so with
Goodness
the sort of with
graciousness, yeah.
the
So,
looming threat of this bomb tinker and this teleporting assassin who can duplicate grenades. Um, where do you think, before we move on to the interlude, where do you think that the story is going to go next? Did they mention what the job is that they're going to do? I forget.
I don't think they did. Boop, 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 boop. I just said they got one. And that the boss's lane would tell them more to me. Up through here. I'm just gonna look through this real quick, looking straight down at it. Broken brothers. Oh, there's one other good thing I want to mention about Taylor. She already took first aid training. Thank you. You're not a complete idiot, Taylor. Good job.
Uh, yeah, that's the part that I think
Okay,
gets glossed over a little bit. She did do that, didn't she? She's like,
yeah, I
probably
don't
learned
think
some CPR.
yeah. Yeah. Probably should learn how to use an EpiPen without killing someone, you know? Fuck.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it's
so yeah, I don't think
interesting.
I
I
mentioned the
want to
job yet.
really. Okay, so yeah, they just mentioned that they have a job, so that'll be something that they get into in the next arc. Um, but yeah, so they've got Bakura and Oni Lee to worry about, but they aren't really sure how much of an immediate threat that is versus a long-term threat, or whether they even know who arrested Long, or why he's in jail. They don't really know. And they seem a little distracted by their next upcoming, whatever this thing is that they're going to be doing next. They got away with robbing this casino, mostly thanks to Taylor's intervention. Now they're going to go do something else. Do you have any
Oh
thoughts
shit,
as
was
to
that
what
after they were
job
done
might
with their
be?
job? Like, way back? Yeah.
No, so
Well,
when
let's see here. Oh, it Tell me stuff first, and then I will tell you
when
stuff. Oh, whoa.
okay. So when Lung was out of the city when they robbed his casino, but he got back and basically everyone told him, yeah, the Undersiders are the one who robbed us, and he's like, you know what, fuck those little bitches. They're just like smash and grab, like hit and run, like thieves. I'm fucking Lung. I'm just gonna kill them all. Because people have a general idea where their base is, like roughly, because like when they're escaping on Rachel's giant fuck off dogs, it's kind of hard to miss them, right? Um, and giant Guru's giant cloud of darkness that's covering their escape. And people can have a general idea of what part of the city they're in. They just don't know where exactly. So Lung's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go start burning shit down until I find them, and then I'll kill them. And that was his general. That was just his general plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he wanted to kill the other side specifically. He didn't know exactly where they were yet.
That's quite
Taylor
interesting.
didn't know any of that. She just jumped in to fight to the death.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Yeah, so something about losing the casino really triggered something with him, Ben. Perhaps it has something to do with the tenuous nature of what he got Bakuda to agree to. Something definitely extra instead of just the act of robbing the casino triggered that. Because someone like Lung would know to take the time to send people there to examine that place and find it, take care of them quickly and discreetly. Unless he's planning for Tattletale. Because the thing about Tattletale is the more prepared you are for a fight with her, the less likely you are to succeed on it. Because she becomes that prepared too. That's just how it tends to work with her stuff. She figures things out really too quick. So
that is an
excellent rush like that. That's a great way of countering her.
The more prepared you are to fight, the less likely you're to succeed, as long as your opponent has Tattletale on their team. That is a really good point. Really interesting. That is another thing to look at going into the future, because now looking back on many of the fights that they had, that yeah, honestly, the ones where the Undersiders do the best are the ones where their enemy had a plan, and the ones where they get their asses kicked are the ones where they just didn't and just said fuck it, we ball.
Yeah, let's see that. Fuck it, leave a hug.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. I know there's one or two other things about this one that. Oh yeah. Yeah, tell me more questions. That way I get more of my wonderful brain thoughts.
Yes, I was just wondering if you had a guess as to what this job was going to be.
Right. So there's possibilities that are going on here. So the way I see it, they can either... Okay, there's three things they can do. Double down against Lung, claim territory or individuals for their space, or prevent others from making claims. So those are the three most likely options here. However, there is a fourth and fun option. But again, we don't know who the boss is yet, so we don't know what he's thinking, or she's thinking, or it's thinking. For all I know, it's a braid and a jar. I don't know yet. So it could be saying, hey, this is the time to do something that no one is ready for us to do. This could be the time to say, go to the guy who repairs Arms Master's vehicles and steal some tech from them or, take STL files from them, whatever, It could be something like that where it's so out of left field, only someone who's really paying attention to the big game sees that they have the advantage here and decides to grapple it. Because a lot of people don't even think, like, well, the heroes got to get their equipment and vehicles and stuff from somewhere. Sure, people, some heroes make it themselves. Some others have things rented out and stuff. Well, who's rent out to? Where's the stuff go? Where's the money coming from? Where's this all going? And stuff. And where's the point where we can catch in on this, Does Mr. build cool shield systems and gun systems for the Protectorate, have a house in the city? And if so, does he leave paperwork there while he's talking with his daughter or whatnot? And he takes out to lunch every Wednesday? Well, if so, this might be a good time to try and take that, because we can get it done. And if shit goes wrong, we'll have the ability to handle it and get out without, causing too big a ruckus. Hell, maybe even wear some colors and blame someone else for it. I don't know. It depends on who their thinker is. And the boss is their thinker, whoever that is. So, the other interesting thing here is...
Go ahead.
Okay, so that's one direction that could go, is the unexpected power grab that, no one else can predict. Then there's the double down on Lung. So double down on Lung would either mean going after one of his other lieutenants, but I doubt they're going to do that because they're very object and material based from what I've seen. So more likely, it would be something that would screw over one of his other lieutenants. So if, say, only Lee runs a illegal gun trade, let's say that, right? Like, he gets things sold off to Filipino mercenaries, whatever, right? He's running this sort of trade. Interrupting that trade, taking his merch and stuff before it ever makes it there and getting it somewhere else, maybe selling it to the Empire for some money or something. Sounds like a good way to screw them both over in one go, because Empire getting a little too ahead of themselves will be more willing to then attack. And if they're more willing to attack, then the ABB is more willing to, strike back against them and prevent them from taking holdings. Whereas the Empire needs to take holdings, so they know, no matter what, rivals are gonna be disappearing in number just from their own interactions there. And you make profit. So that's a possibility, a really good possibility, something along those lines. Then there's, oh gosh, I forgot a whole section, a whole category of things they could be doing right now. All right, claiming territory / domain of their own. So this could be the time to go to someone who is in an in-between area where, new gangs are coming in, old gangs are losing ground or unsure of what's going on here, and get them to supply you or, pay you for protection or whatever it is, like to acquire someone who has a benefit you need or want, who is in this sort of uneven ground where they don't know what's going to happen, to be their grounding force, to be their rock. So, whatever that is, I have no idea what they stand to gain, but if there is a place like that, this is the time to strike. You set something up because you've been successful. No one knows you've been successful, and except for it as that one thing against Lung, who's now out. So you go ahead saying, hey, I'm here. I'm better than that other guy. I sold his shit, and the next day he got killed, basically. I'm the hot shit. And they might actually go for it. So that's a pretty good thing they could try to do as well. How they'd go about that would probably utilize more of a Tattletale's powers and then the ability of the others to look intimidating and maybe do a job for whoever, whatever that entity is, to prove that they can. And then the last one is preventing others from claiming spaces. Now, I already said one way of doing that by forcing them into a confrontation by screwing one over. However, they could instead do something that straight up prevents one from gaining ground. So this could be something such as going and planting, say, it could be, for example, go and attack one of the paramilitary guys' nice, pretty buildings that seem safe to make everyone sort of disregard him and whatnot. But at the same time, to leave a calling card from another group, such as the ABB or most likely the Empire, to make it so that they strike out against that group. So if you send that guy there, do something like that, then that forces the Empire to either defend themselves against this guy or to fully retreat and back into ABB territory where they're going to be dealing with another gang on every street they're on instead of just in these in-between zones. So there's a lot of fun options here. And I think whoever the boss is understands enough of the city's power play that they'll do something that affects one of these 4 routes notably. And I just gave a few examples. I'm sure there's plenty more and some that are more logical from the city's view, but I don't have that overview of the city. I have Taylor's perspective, so I just gotta go with what I'm seeing there.
Yeah, and Taylor's not tapped into the political.
There's that other gang, the
city.
gamer gang. Silly guys.
Oh, yeah. They're not really a gang. It's basically 2 dudes with, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, Uber and Leet.
Nice.
Yeah, they're like.
Yeah, they're great. Love them.
Joke villains.
They sound like dorks.
They are huge dorks.
Yeah.
Pretty much their whole MO is basically being not worth the hero's time to come arrest. And not rocking any boats with the other gangs ever to not draw their attention either. And just kind of like mostly commit petty theft. Stealing, like, they're like, hey, it's a Mario event, and they deploy some sort of insane tech that like turns it into the mall into like a Mario level that everyone has to participate in, and then they kind of steal everyone's wallet while they're doing it. That's kind of like their shtick.
Yeah, sounds great. I hope we get a chapter or an interlude and whatnot dedicated to either dealing with them, interacting with them, or seeing their view of whatever bullshit they're doing. Because I love little things like that, like getting to watch like Tight Man and Condiment King for a day is hilarious to me, you know? Oof.
So yeah, other than that, I think
so let's
move on to the interlude. I know how excited you are.
Interlude! Victoria! You should have killed that motherfucker. Should have ripped him apart bit by bit while you do it, too. Yeah, I mean, y'all got docs. Y'all got all these other things, man. Y'all got rats and shit, too. It's not hard to, like, and she can tear it apart. If she wanted to, she could shred the body to pieces, too. And, like, spread that out. You know, ain't no one gonna notice. You find a little patch of dirt anywhere, or someone's random yard even and stuff, or you can take that done, get it shredded out, undo some things, boom. Especially if like there's fertilizer around nearby, yeah, easy peasy, check and squeezy. She should be set up for this, but she's not. I'm guessing she's a teenager too. Yeah. I don't remember if they specifically said so, but she's young. And
so
her sister is incredibly skilled.
Yeah, she absolutely could do all that. She is a middle class white teenager from a city, the daughter of like a lawyer. So like probably not high on her like thought process. But honestly, with the way she acts, not that far down either, necessarily. And yeah, so yeah, we get to meet Glory Girl, who can fly. is very strong,
Victoria,
has some
glory
sort of
girl.
emotion-based aura,
Yeah, and
and
her
we also
flight
get to
thing
meet
is
her
also some
sister.
sort of like windshield, so that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't remember the
yes,
use
so she
name,
also
but I
has a
remember Amy.
yes. Her cape name is Panacea, but her name is Amy.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense, actually. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go with Amy because it's easier for me to say right now. I'm out of my drinky winky, and I'm not gonna go run and grab Malella in the middle of the conversation. Ever.
Totally good. So we'll call them Victoria and
So yeah,
Amy.
um, Amy for now. Yeah. So let's see here. Victoria just hasn't thought through what she's doing. Like in general, she's brashly acting out and just doing the stuff. I think she's my, woo, I got the powers. I'm gonna go use them. I'm so cool. Wow. Everyone will cover my ass the way they've covered my ass on everything throughout my whole life. Oh, wow. That's sort of the attitude she has. She's very cavalier. There's a lot of good things I can say about that too, but the basic premise is she's someone too obsessed with self-glory to understand what glory actually is. And because of that, she winds up dealing with shame and embarrassment and all this other stuff via taking things too far, not understanding what the hell she's supposed to be about, and not understanding the kinds of people she is dealing with. She has this sort of attitude like a villain. He's a piece of shit. I'll go get information out of him. Wow. That's, not gonna work. Every single one of the different kinds of goons and things are different kinds of people with different strategies, and I'm not sorry, but those like from the Empire there, and any skinhead type of person really and stuff. It's better just to kill them. You're gonna get more out of them if you tear them apart and do it than you are if you're gonna, we're gonna threaten you. Nah, I already mentioned this. So they utilize systems against you. They do all this other stuff. The concept of being a normative figure and a non-threat to legal systems and whatnot is how they get by. That's how they make do and terrorize places. Be like, well, I'm just a normal man sitting at the bar. I don't know what that means. And they're like, I got kicked out for nothing and whatnot. That's their MO. That's the kind of shit they do. And they go, well, blah, 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 blah. So you can't let them get away with it. It's like a domestic abuser, except it's not on the scale of one person or a small family unit. It's on the whole city. Anyone like that is a domestic abuser of the city and everything in its laws, its legal system. And killing them is honestly the best thing you can do for everybody. So just get away with it. It's not hard. It's really not. And then she has advantages for getting away with it too, like, oof. But anyways.
Yeah, like her
Yeah.
sister. Who? What
Also,
do you think of her?
it's super easy to kill them in a way where it looks like gang violence. Like, we know that the gangs are intruding on each other's spaces and whatnot here. She should have just killed him in a way where it looked like another gang got him and left him and never said anything about it or seeing him or even being in that area, Not hard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jillian has to put her hands on him to really, like, kill him, like, just kick something in his direction and bam, Then it's just like, okay, well, whatever. Easy. She's got it easier than anyone I've ever met. Anyways. Yeah. Point is, also she's got Amy, who could do some really messed up stuff. But, Amy has, morals. That's a thing that she's got. And she's not stuck in confusion about what those morals are. The thing she has instead to deal with is the concept of familial bonds and how those work. Like, If those didn't exist, she 100% have reported, like, Glory Girl for everything that happened there and stuff. That's just the kind of person she is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But the family bond is there, so that prevents her from doing that. But yeah. So, Annie's big problem is that she is really defined with her morals and everything. Like, that's a thing. And she has this personable connection that tests those and makes her go against those. So, that's not good for her. That's a bad thing for her to have to deal with, and it's going to bring down her mental fortitude. Let's go with that. And the thing is, someone with that power set needs mental fortitude. My goodness. Messing with the body like that, the way she can tweak and transform and shift things, especially if she can go as far as like changing melanin levels and stuff like has been suggested.
Mm-hmm.
Woof. There's a lot she can do, and she needs to be able to stay in the zone when operating. Yeah. And now, there's also the time that she's able to do that to any organ, including, like, the mind, but that she won't. And I think that's a bit of a shame there. Like, honestly, no matter what she's doing, it's a bit of a shame that she's not messing with the brain and stuff. I think she should be. 100%. Get some equipment, hook it up to one of these guys, and, fuck around with their brain. Just start shredding it up, twisting things around, messing with it, I'll give them all the problems. Doesn't matter. Their life has less value than a random New York City rat. Okay? That's that. People will gain if you kill them. So, go ahead. Learn that shit by experimenting on people like that. When you've figured out some basic stuff and how not to kill people while doing this stuff, then you can start doing, like, real actual work. You should be learning what people think about the brain and whatnot, going to all these different, like, neurosurgeons and other people. I say that, don't fuck with psychologists and stuff when it comes to this, because they have weird little hoodoo voodoo categories and stuff that make no sense. It's stuck in intelligentsia. Go to, like, surgeons and people like that. Start learning about the brain, what causes what has these problems and stuff, and she can really, really start helping a lot of people, including villains and whatnot, like anyone who has improper mental gateways and stuff, or all these things are the wrong type of chemical regulation, because a lot of people have different sets of different issues that start in the brain and affect the rest of the body. Like, there's enough people out there who they're, say, a male or they're a female, and their brain is producing the amount of chemicals and whatnot that the opposite physical sex would normally be producing. And that caused them to have all these different problems going on, and, all this, like, disability of believing in themselves or how they're functioning and stuff. And, like, I did all this work, not to do, like, build up muscle and whatnot, but instead I've developed fat or all this other stuff where it creates all these different issues and hormonal imbalances and all this other stuff, which can lead to other mental problems. So, figuring out that that's a thing and just changing a few little bits of the wiring or helping it regulate and stuff will help those people out a lot. You don't necessarily have to give them the male or females, like, proper flow, but if you get it one that's, like, better, or even just let them know they have it by checking, then they can handle their life more appropriately. There's so many things where she could help so many people, like, if she can figure out, because, we have ideas of, like, this is how psychosis might work, or this is where, you lose empathy if these connections aren't there, or even, like, color blindness can happen from this and that, She could really work on fixing those things and helping out a lot of people in so many ways. Like, she could be a big boon to society if she'd let herself, be a monster for a bit. Yeah.
Fascinating.
But she won't.
I Man, I don't even know where to start unpacking all that. Um, oh boy. So for the direction, for what do you think? Do you think that these how big of a role do you think these two characters are going to play in the story? And for their roles, what do you think their character arcs will look like?
Okay. What? So I think because of their presentation, so far we haven't had. I know we've only had like the two interludes, but we haven't had one from someone who isn't relevant to the story. Only a character within that who isn't currently relevant will show up way later, like Scion. You know, he showed up another one. He's not relevant yet, but he will be later. Now, in this one, the Empire themselves are that extra third party who's not relevant yet, but will be later. And I don't know if that's sooner or further down the road. But these two characters, I feel like their role in the story is about to be important. And I know it sounds weird, but that's what I mean. Like, whatever thing that our main cast and crews do, I believe that the heroes who respond are going to be these two, or at least include one of them. And the reason why I think that instead of Arms Masters, I think Arms Masters has been set up to be this sort of big, intimidating force for down the road. Whereas these ones are like fledglings who are figuring out their own way as well. So these might be our first heroes who we deal with from like Taylor in them, and Taylor having to actively, go against her own principles in a physical confrontation. Because so far, all of her confrontations have been justified. He gonna kill kids. He trying to kill me. Bitch attacked me, I think they're gonna be her moral conundrum when it comes to that. Like, oh shit, we under attack by capes and whatnot. Oh, and where she does something there. Now, she might go too far and think she kills, like, Wonder Girl or whatnot. Like, at first, she can definitely take it because she's, bulletproof, whatever the fuck, Who knows? And goes a little too far and believes that she's, like, killed her. And then, Amy winds up saving her by, messing with the body parts or whatever, how that stuff works. So, I think something like that. Like, they'll be involved in Taylor's operation and her next big moral conundrum, where she's got to start figuring out how deep she's willing to go for this operation, or she wants to get out. And I think she's going to go deep because she really wants to get that boss, whoever it is. And whatever this next operation is going to cement her wanting to claim this boss as something to take out or work with. Personally, I think take out. So they're going to be the moral conundrum. They're going to be big, and they're going to start the thing of this person, this criminal who has bugs and stuff, as a criminal, and start spreading it out there that they're a threat. So that's what I think they're going to do. I think that's their involvement. That's what they're doing. And maybe if Amy goes a little further and stuff, I don't know how long the time scale is here or whatnot. Amy might actually pick up some, like, detective skills of figuring out different things about different capes and whatnot, the way that, like, some power sets move, and do something with that as part of the story. I'm not sure where it would go exactly, but I feel that might be part of it. But whatever's going on with those two, it's to get in the way of Taylor, make her moral conundrums harder, and to make her have to think about that concept of heroes versus villains and where she stands in that. That's my theory out the gate. Whoa.
Awesome. Well, I think at least that theory will be very quick and easy to confirm. All you have to do is read the next arc, and we'll see if they show up or not.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. Yeah. Well, Oh man, that's exciting. I hope it's so, because like I haven't seen one of these from a perspective yet where it's, from someone we haven't seen. It's the first one. So I'm hoping that means they show up really soon. And maybe it won't even know it's them until like the next arc after or something. And I feel like they're the thing that's gonna show up and do the stuff. It just feels right to me. But I don't know yet. I don't know how these interludes work. And by the third one, I think I'll start be able to figure out patterns and stuff. So, hee hee.
Yeah, I will say there are two kinds of interludes. They're the ones that happen kind of like at the end of these arcs, and they do tend to have like a very similar story structure, and their purpose is very similar. I think there is another kind of interlude called bonus interludes, and those are a bit more meta, because basically when the author was writing this story, right, he was posting 2 chapters a week, and he had a Patreon. And when he reached certain Patreon goals, he would put out bonus interludes. And these basically are from perspectives that you wouldn't have seen otherwise, and contain information that's more relevant to the overarching plot and world, rather than what's coming up directly next. So there's a handful of those, and you'll see them
interesting.
when it's there. Yeah. And then I guess technically there's the third kind of art,
exciting,
which is the whole slew of interludes that make up an entire arc, the interlude arc. That's its own thing, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, so we'll burn that bridge when we cross it. Yeah.
I'll burn it before I cross it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, did we cover everything you wanted to cover? Is there anything else you want to go over? Well.
Oh man. Yeah. No, I think so. Yeah, that seems to be that's all the major stuff I remember.
All right. Again, there were little bits of this that like definitely my brain caught on to and stuff that like it's no longer holding, which is a little annoying. Like, Josh. Yeah, but yeah, like Glory Girl saying it's the principle of the thing and whatnot, like clearly showing that she doesn't understand what she's about. Again, it's all fun. Cause yeah, so there's so many things, but yeah, with Glory Girl, for example, she does not understand rats or how to have them, what they're for, and what to do to take out people who you can't really do anything with. She doesn't understand that stuff. She doesn't have it down. So, yeah. Woof. She also understands her own name. She goes by Glory Girl and wants glory for herself. That's not what glory is about. At all. So, yeah. Just like naming yourself, I don't know, fucking Mercy Girl and just, shooting everyone's kneecaps when you see them. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You don't understand what mercy means. It's a very difficult and nuanced concept. And yeah. Woof. Like mercy, grace, glory, all these things have big things they mean. Glory Girl doesn't get any of it. Hopefully she'll figure it out as she goes on, but I don't think she's the type to get it anytime soon. Woof. But who knows? Maybe an encounter with Taylor will like switch her around, make her go, oh, fudge. The world is not what I thought it once was. Ooh.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, meow, meow, meow.
All right.
Okay, well, that's everything I got. I guess are we ready to end it here? Or, well, bop, bop.
Yeah, I certainly think so.
Okay. I'll wrap this up then. All right, thank you for joining us, friendos. If you got thoughts and comments and whatever, the meow, 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 leave them. Anyways, we'll catch you on the next one. Make sure to read the next arc before the Tiggy, and then we'll talk about it and see what's happening. Hopefully I'm right, or so wrong that it's funny. Alright, bye-bye for now. Bye-bye. Toodaloo. Chow mein noodles. Bye-bye. Oh, whoa, whoa.